Hey, everyone! Welcome back to English 365 podcast. I'm Jack.
And I'm Luna. Today we're talking about something exciting, a little scary, and honestly life-changing traveling alone for the first time.
That's right. For some people, the idea sounds amazing. No compromises, no waiting for other people, no arguing about where to eat.
And for other people, it sounds terrifying. Like, why would I go somewhere completely on my own?
Exactly. So today, we're going to talk about what it really feels like to take that first solo trip, why people do it, and how to make it less overwhelming.
And if you've ever thought, I really want to travel alone, but I'm not sure I'm brave enough, this episode is for you.
Let me ask you this, Luna. When people hear traveling alone, what do you think they picture first?
Honestly, I think they picture freedom. A person walking through a beautiful city, drinking coffee by themselves, taking photos, feeling independent and confident.
Yeah, that's the Instagram version.
Exactly. But the real version is usually more complicated. It can also mean getting a little lost, feeling awkward at dinner, or standing in front of a train map wondering, okay, now what?
That's the part people don't always talk about. Solo travel is not just about pretty scenery. It's about learning how to handle things on your own.
And that's why it can be such a powerful experience. Because the first time you travel alone, you're not just visiting a new place, you're also meeting a new version of yourself.
I think a lot of people feel two things at the same time before their first solo trip: excitement and fear.
Yes, absolutely. You're excited because it feels like freedom, but you're also nervous because there's no backup plan, no travel partner, and no one to share every moment with.
Right. And that can make even simple things feel bigger, like booking a hotel, finding transportation, or eating alone in public.
But that's also what makes the experience so meaningful. The first solo trip is often the first time you realize, oh, I can actually do this.
And once you know that, it changes how you see yourself.
So in this episode, we're going to break it down step by step. We'll talk about why people choose to travel alone, how to prepare for your first trip, how to stay safe, and what the emotional side of solo travel really feels like.
Let's start with a simple question. Why do people choose to travel alone in the first place?
Yeah, because honestly, it's not the default way to travel. Most people go with friends, family, or a partner.
Exactly. Traveling alone is kind of a deliberate choice, so there must be something special about it.
I think the most obvious reason is freedom. When you travel alone, you can do exactly what you want, whenever you want.
No compromise.
No compromises. You don't have to wake up early if you don't want to. You don't have to visit places you're not interested in. You can change your plan anytime.
Another reason I've heard a lot is that people want to get away from their routine.
Yes, like hitting a reset button.
Exactly. Work, school, daily stress, sometimes you just need space.
And traveling alone gives you that space in a deeper way. Because you're not just away from your routine, you're also away from your usual social circle.
So you're not playing any roles.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. You're not the responsible one, or the funny one, or the quiet one. You're just you.
I think this is the biggest reason, at least for me, self-discovery.
Because when you're alone in a new place, you have to make all the decisions yourself. Small ones and big ones.
Like what to eat, where to go, how to get there.
And also, how to deal with unexpected situations, like getting lost, missing a train, or feeling uncomfortable.
So you're constantly solving problems.
Exactly. And every time you solve one, you become a little more confident.
Do you think traveling alone changes how you experience a place?
Definitely. I think you notice more.
Why?
Because you're not constantly talking to someone. You're more present. You observe more the streets, the people, the atmosphere.
That makes sense. When you're with friends, you're often focused on each other.
Exactly. But when you're alone, the place becomes your main focus.
But let's be honest, even with all these benefits, not everyone feels ready to travel alone.
Of course. It's a big step.
I think a lot of people are interested, but they hesitate.
Yeah, they think, what if I get bored? What if I feel lonely? What if something goes wrong?
All valid concerns.
Very valid, and that's why preparation matters. And also, mindset.
Do you think someone needs to be a very independent person to try solo travel?
Not at all. I think you become independent through the experience.
So you don't need to be ready in advance?
No, you just need to be willing to try something new, even if it feels a little uncomfortable.
That's a good point. Growth usually starts with discomfort.
Exactly. And your first solo trip doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to happen.
All right, now let's get into the practical part. You've decided to travel alone for the first time. Amazing. But now what?
Now the planning begins. And honestly, this is the part that can make people feel excited and overwhelmed at the same time.
Let's start with the biggest decision. Where should you go?
For your first solo trip, I would say choose a place that feels manageable.
Meaning?
Somewhere with good transportation, clear signs, and a reputation for being traveler-friendly. A place where you won't feel completely lost from the moment you arrive.
What about trip length? How long should a first solo trip be?
Shorter than you think.
That's probably good advice.
Yes, a first solo trip does not need to be 2 weeks long. It can be 3 days, 4 days, maybe a long weekend.
Why do you think shorter is better?
Because the first trip is partly about learning how you feel when you're alone in a new environment. A shorter trip gives you that experience without making it too exhausting.
Let's talk about the schedule. A lot of people make this mistake, right?
Oh yes, they create a perfect itinerary with every hour planned.
Breakfast at 8, museum at 9, cafe at 11, shopping at 1, sunset at 5, dinner at 7.
And then reality happens. You're tired, you got lost, you needed a break. Now the whole plan feels stressful.
So what's the better approach?
Plan less. Seriously, pick 1 or 2 main things per day. Leave room for rest, wandering, and unexpected moments.
Now let's talk about booking flights and accommodation. A lot of first-time travelers focus only on price,
Yes, and that can be a mistake,
because the cheapest option is not always the best option.
especially when you're traveling alone for the first time. Convenience and safety matter a lot.
What should people look for?
For flights, try to arrive during the daytime if possible. It's usually easier to navigate a new city when it's light outside.
Packing is another big one. People either overpack or forget something important.
Usually both.
So what are the essentials?
First, documents. Passport, ID, tickets, reservation info, and copies or screenshots of everything important.
Very important.
Second, money and payment options. Bring more than one way to pay if possible.
Here's something a lot of people forget. What if you don't have internet?
Yes, that's a big one. Always save important information offline.
Like maps, hotel addresses, emergency contacts?
Exactly. Take screenshots of your flight details, booking confirmations, and anything else you may need quickly.
That way, even if your signal is bad, you still have access.
And it helps reduce anxiety. You feel more in control when you know the basic information is already saved.
I feel like a lot of people focus on packing and booking, but forget the mental part.
Yes, and that part matters just as much.
What do you mean by mental preparation?
I mean, being honest with yourself. Your first solo trip might be exciting, but it might also feel weird at times.
Weird, how?
You might feel awkward eating alone. You might have a moment of doubt when you arrive. You might feel tired of making decisions all day.
We'll go deeper into safety later, but even in the planning stage, people should think about it.
Yes, not in a paranoid way, just in a smart way.
Like what?
Know how you're getting from the airport or station to your hotel. Know what time you're arriving. Have a backup plan if your first option falls through.
So basically, reduce uncertainty where you can.
Exactly. The less confused you are when you arrive, the calmer you'll feel.
All right, so now you've arrived at your destination. You've planned everything, packed your bag, and suddenly, it hits you. You're completely on your own.
Yes, that moment is very real. You step out of the airport or the train station, and you think, okay, it's just me now.
Exciting, but also a little intimidating.
Exactly. And that's why this part is so important: how to stay safe and how to feel confident while traveling alone.
Let's start with the first few hours after arrival. What should people focus on?
I would say don't rush. Take a moment to understand your surroundings.
Here's something practical. Is it true that how you present yourself affects safety?
Absolutely. You don't have to look confident all the time, but try not to look completely lost.
Even if you are lost.
Even if you are lost, instead of standing in the middle of the street looking confused, step into a shop or a cafe and check your map there.
That's a great tip.
Also, walk with purpose. Even if you're unsure, move like you have a direction.
This might sound a bit abstract, but I hear it a lot. Trust your instincts.
It's actually very practical advice. If something feels off, it probably is.
So if a place or situation makes you uncomfortable, just leave.
Yes, you don't need to be polite at the cost of your safety.
That's important. A lot of people hesitate because they don't want to seem rude.
But your safety comes first. Always.
I think we should also talk specifically about solo female travelers, because the experience can be different.
Yes, definitely. There are extra things to consider.
Like what?
For example, being more careful at night, choosing well-lit areas, avoiding very empty streets, and being mindful when using transportation.
And accommodation choices probably matter more too.
Yes. Choose places with good reviews, secure access, and a safe neighborhood.
Let's talk about confidence. Because safety is not just about avoiding danger, it's also about how you feel.
Yes. And real confidence doesn't come instantly.
So how does it build?
Through small wins. The first time you navigate a new subway system. The first time you order food in a different language. The first time you solve a problem on your own.
Each small success adds up.
Exactly. And after a while, you realize, I can handle things.
So we've talked about staying safe and building confidence. But there's another side to solo travel that people don't always expect.
Yes, the emotional side.
What does it actually feel like to be alone on the road?
Because it's not just exciting. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's uncomfortable, and sometimes it's surprisingly beautiful.
Let's talk about that next.
Absolutely. And honestly, that mix of feelings is what makes it unforgettable.
I feel like the first night is always the most intense. Do you agree?
Absolutely. The first night is when everything becomes real.
You've arrived, you've unpacked, and then suddenly, it's quiet.
Very quiet. And that silence can feel amazing or strange, depending on your mood.
I imagine some people feel a little proud, like, wow, I really did this.
Yes, that happens. But at the same time, there can also be a small wave of doubt. You might think, did I make the right choice?
That seems normal.
It is normal. The first night is usually a mix of excitement, nervousness, and a lot of awareness. You notice everything.
Let's talk about one of the most common solo travel moments, eating alone.
Oh, yes, that's a big one.
Some people are completely fine with it. Others feel very awkward.
And both reactions are valid. Eating alone can feel very peaceful, but it can also make you feel exposed at first.
Exposed? How?
Because there's no distraction. You're just sitting there with your own thoughts, your food, and the people around you.
One thing I love about solo travel is that nobody is waiting for you.
That freedom is huge.
You can stay at a cafe for an hour longer. You can leave a museum early. You can change your mind completely.
Yes, and emotionally, that makes a big difference. You're not constantly checking whether someone else is bored or tired.
You can just follow your own energy.
Exactly. Some days you might feel adventurous. Other days you might just want to walk slowly, sit somewhere quiet, and do almost nothing.
I think people often confuse loneliness with being alone.
Yes, and they are not the same thing.
How would you explain the difference?
Being alone is a physical state. Loneliness is emotional. You can be alone and feel completely full, peaceful, and present. Or you can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely.
That's a really important distinction.
Solo travel teaches you that. It shows you that being alone does not automatically mean something is missing.
I think one of the best parts of solo travel is how independent it makes you feel.
Yes, you realize you're capable of so much more than you thought.
Even small things start to matter more.
Absolutely. Booking a ticket, finding the right bus, ordering food in another language, changing your plan when something goes wrong. Those things may seem minor, but they build a deep sense of independence.
And independence feels different when it's earned.
Exactly. That's why solo travel can be so transformative. It's not just about seeing new places, it's about proving to yourself that you can handle life on your own.
All right, we've talked about planning, safety, and the emotional side of solo travel. Now let's get real about mistakes.
Yes, because no matter how prepared you are, first-time solo travelers usually make a few mistakes.
Which is totally normal.
Completely normal. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to learn quickly and not let small mistakes ruin the trip.
I think this is one of the biggest mistakes, trying to do too much.
Absolutely. People imagine their first solo trip and think they need to see everything.
So they create a packed schedule from morning to night,
And then they spend the whole trip rushing.
which is exhausting.
It is. Solo travel is not a competition. You do not need to visit 10 places in one day to prove that the trip was successful.
I think this is the most important thing to remember. You will probably make some mistakes.
Yes, and that's okay.
You might get lost. You might book the wrong thing. You might order the wrong meal. You might miss a train.
And then you'll figure it out.
That's the point.
Exactly. Every small mistake becomes part of the story, and often it becomes the part you laugh about later.
So we've talked about the mistakes, the smart tips, and the mindset that helps you travel better.
Which brings us to the last part, the final takeaway.
What should people remember after listening to this whole conversation?
That traveling alone for the first time is not just about going somewhere new.
It's about becoming someone a little stronger.
Exactly. Let's wrap it up.
If you had to sum up the whole experience in one idea, what would it be?
I'd say this. Your first solo trip is not about proving that you are fearless.
I like that.
It's about proving that you can move forward even when you feel unsure.
That's a much better goal.
Yes, because nobody feels 100% ready before their first solo trip. There's always a little fear. There's always a little doubt. But you go anyway.
So for anyone listening who's thinking about taking that first trip alone, what would you say to them?
I'd say, start small, stay smart, and don't wait for perfection.
That's good advice.
You do not need the perfect itinerary, the perfect suitcase, or the perfect mindset. You just need the courage to begin.
And even if the trip feels awkward at first, that does not mean it's going badly.
Not at all. Awkward moments are part of the process. Quiet moments are part of the process. Even the mistakes are part of the process.
So to everyone listening, if you've been thinking about taking your first solo trip, maybe this is your sign.
Start planning. Start small. And give yourself permission to try.
You do not have to be fearless.
You just have to begin.
Thanks for spending time with us today.
We hope this conversation made solo travel feel a little less scary and a lot more possible.
Until next time, stay curious.
And stay brave.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.